Hello. I'm Sally, your host. Welcome to the third board, my master's chess channel. Here I will show you games from great players of the past, and other chess-related content. For today's video, I have chosen an instructive game, played between the Russian-born, French Grandmaster, Alexander Alekhine, and the Swedish Grandmaster, Gösta Stoltz, in 1931, in the city of Bled, Slovenia. At the time, Alekhine was 39 years old, and the reigning world chess champion, after defeating Capablanca in 1927. Before we start, I must apologize for not displaying a photograph of Gösta Stoltz. I could not find an adequate one on the internet. Now, let's begin. Gösta Stoltz has white and starts with pawn to e4. Alexander Alekhine responds with pawn to e5. And after, knight to f3. Knight to c6. Bishop to b5. Pawn to a6. Bishop to a4. Pawn to d6. We have on this board, the Ruy Lopez opening, Morphy defense. This variation is also called the modern Steinitz defense. In Alekhine's time, it was frequently played when black accepted the Ruy Lopez. The game continues with d4, b5, bishop to b3, knight takes pawn, knight takes knight, pawn takes knight, bishop to d5, attacking the rook. This bishop move is not an usual move in this opening, although is not necessarily a bad move. Black continues with rook to b8, bishop to c6 check. According to Alekhine, with this move, and bishop to d5 before it, white reveals his desire to simplify the game. But the white light square bishop is a valuable piece in the Ruy Lopez, and should not be exchanged this way. Thanks to that, black will achieve equality easily. Black continues with bishop to d7. Bishop takes bishop check. Queen takes bishop. Queen takes on d4. Knight to f6. Knight to c3. If instead of knight to c3, white played queen to a7, black would defend his position with queen to c8, and white would do better to retreat his queen. Black continues with bishop to e7. White castles. Black does the same. Bishop to d2. In this position, developing this bishop by g5 or f4, would not be better, according to both Alekhine and Stockfish. Instead of bishop to d2, the engine suggests for white, pawn to a3, in order to avoid pawn to b4 by black. The game continues with rook from f to e8. Queen to d3. Probably anticipating pawn to c5 by black. b4. Knight to e2. If white really wanted to simplify the game, it was better to try it now, by playing knight to d5. The game could have continued like this. Knight takes knight. E takes knight. Queen to b5. Rook from f to e1. Queen takes on d3. C takes on d3. King to f8. And black would be only slightly better according to Stockfish. Let's return to the game. After knight to e2, black continues with queen to c6, defending a6, and threatening the e4 pawn. f3, defending the e4 pawn. However, according to Alekhine, this pawn move also weakens the dark squares, especially the e3 square. Pay close attention to the e3 square. It will be used by the black player later. Instead of pawn to f3, it was better to move the knight to g3. And after that, the game could have continued like this. d5. E takes on d5. Queen takes on d5. Rook from f to e1. g6. Avoiding knight to f5, and preparing f5. Queen takes queen. Knight takes queen. Rook from a to d1. f5. And the position would be equal. Let's return to the game. After pawn to f3, black continues with d5. E takes on d5. Knight takes on d5. Rook from a to e1. Bishop to f6. Controlling the a1 h8 diagonal, and attacking the b2 pawn. c4. Attacking the knight. Queen to c5 check. Rook to f2. Knight to e3. Well, we just arrived at an interesting position of the game. Observe this position. According to the wise fish, black is slightly better. Alekhine is threatening the c4 pawn, and the b2 pawn. He also can bring the rook to d8, attacking the queen. How should white play now? There are two moves for white that deserve attention here. Pawn to b3, defending the c4 pawn. Knight to g3, giving up the c4 pawn. In the game, Stoltz chose the wrong move, and white's position deteriorated rapidly. What would you do if you had the white pieces? Did you like this game so far? I hope you enjoyed this video. If you want notifications of more content like this, please subscribe to this channel. I shall narrate this game's conclusion in the next video. Thank you, and see you again in part 2. Goodbye.